More talent is on the way for 2023. Welcome into the Voice of College Football, Miami Hurricanes, live here with the Wholesome One each and every Thursday night. There it is. And here he is. Wholesome One, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful feeling to be on time. I think it's the first time we've been on time in a couple months, but it's a beautiful feeling. It's a
Let's not
beautiful feeling
spoil
to
the
be.
folks out there now.
Yeah, we
They can
can't.
wait for a
Gotta
good
keep
thing.
them. Gotta keep them on their toes.
Yes.
Because we could be. That's why you got to be notification squad. Can't just be live squad. Can't just be rewatch squad. You gotta be notification squads. We could be 15 minutes late, 10 minutes early. Who knows? Who
We
knows?
may need to go another day, another night, another whatever as
Right.
well.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Tommy Kinsler plays up front on the offensive side. He's a tackle, projects to a guard or center,
Yes. Now
according to
he's
you and others.
massive. He is massive, Mark. Talking about a prospect that is 6'5", 6'6", already 330 pounds coming out of high school. He's from a smaller school, so that's why he's still the 3-star right now. I believe he's in Ocala, a small school up in that way. So he hasn't had a chance to go to the camps. And Mark, we know how that situation goes. If you're not the uh, top 50 camp, if you're not at the Rising Sophomore Academy, if you're not at the Future Freshman All Stars, if you're not at the Gymnastic Juniors, whatever they come up with every year, to be out there and get a chance to show what you got in t-shirt and shorts and basically recreate the combine, 8 years before guys get a chance to do it. If you don't get a chance to do that, then you don't get the bump up. You don't get a chance to be 5-star this or high rated 4-star that. And we've had our conversations about that and the star system and the star rating. And I don't disrespect those people's job. I don't know what it would be like to try to cover 1,000 people or 500, 600 people in the class. So I know that some of them do their due diligence and it's a lot that they have to get to. And the top programs and the top prospects get top priority, which I understand. But the reason why I say that is because we shouldn't then look down at other people who are 3 stars because there may be a chance, especially early on in the process, before these young men even play their senior season, where there could be a big bump up, or there could be people that weren't on the radar after maybe having a so-so sophomore year. You have that, or people who transfer schools, just jump out on the scene, just because I have St. Thomas Aquinas or IMG Academy or Bishop Gorman on my chest doesn't make me, just that alone doesn't make me a better or worse player. I have to be able to go out there and prove it. So in the case of this offensive lineman, man, nasty. The first thing you notice is him playing left tackle, right guard, right tackle. He plays all over, and he's a very, very aggressive lineman. Now, Miami missed out on a big time prospect and with similar size. And so it shows you that the evaluation process of more than just the big, well known 5 stars and the 4 stars that everyone knows. We're talking about a staff that can go and find us 3 stars and low 4 stars that may not be getting the love that they deserve and be able to replace them, the big guys, if we miss out on them, with young men that can play and that may not have a big name just yet.
So when I think about guys out there in shorts trying to prove what kind of athlete, what kind of football player they are, they're showing what
Mm-hmm.
kind of athlete they are, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily a football player.
Right.
It depends on the position. So you don't get a full read on any position because you need
Mm-hmm.
pads on and you need contact. Even for a quarterback, they need to be rushed, they need to be hurried, they need to be
Mm-hmm.
knocked around a little bit to even show that. But you can evaluate a quarterback, I would believe, much easier in shorts than you can an offensive lineman because what is the number one skill set of a quarterback? Throwing the football. Well, he can throw the
Absolutely.
football. You can watch him throw the football. You can watch a
Mm-hmm.
receiver run patterns and catch passes. Uh,
Absolutely.
Nobody on defense, you completely take the tackling aspect out of it, so you don't know if anybody can tackle or shed blocks, but you can see their athleticism. But I would think offensive line would be the most difficult. Both lines would be the most difficult to assess, except for their athleticism. Put them through the drills. But as a football player, the most difficult to assess would be the O line and the D line.
I would say yes, in the sense of how does he look? We're talking about a young man that may not be able to, he may be from a small town or may not have the finances to be out here eating premium chicken breast and steak for dinner every day and have meal preps and have shakes and everything. So he might have a lot of body fat on him and be a bigger person, a bigger guy. And that doesn't mean he can't play, but that's something to jot down. Okay, maybe we're gonna have to do a little extra work with this young man because he doesn't have the great build right out of the door. Okay, you also look at on your exterior linemen, your offensive tackles and your defensive ends. That is different. That I think you can have that kind of pass rush, run around the attack because you want to see his feet. You understand that it's a cheat for the offense for the defensive end. Yeah, they're usually smaller. They're like 205, 15 pounds, 6'3" and up. They just usually zoom right past these offensive tackles. Well, what you can measure is the footwork of this offensive lineman, the aggression of the offensive lineman. Is he going to just keep letting this guy zoom right past him, or is he going to figure out a way to cut him off? Are you going to jump set him now? You're going to really kick back because they usually don't allow bull rushing. And people that do bull rush is kind of looked down upon because that's what this drill is for, is to see if you can actually work moves with your feet. Not you headbutt a young man, you bust his nose and you're bull rushing him when no one has on pads or a helmet, in that kind of sense. So I get where you're coming from because it can be a harder evaluation, especially when we're talking about interior alignment, your defensive tackles, your offensive guards, and your centers. But defensive ends and offensive tackle, some of those camps are amazing because you get a chance to see, number one, their build, number two, their feet, and number three, their competitiveness. Because I look at a guy like Francis Mauigoa, who goes to these camps, looks great. Looks really good, nice, put well together in the spandex Olympics, and he also is able to keep his feet, and he's able to stonewall guys. Boom, he kicks, kick. They're right in front of him, boom, or push him past. So you're able to get a chance to see the young man, but I definitely get where you're coming from because there are plenty of people, Mark, who look real nice in t-shirt and shorts. You got the long locks like mine and the abs and the big pecs, and they crop their shirt up. They look all nice and they flying past these defensive ends. And then when we get to the Nike or the Under Armour All-American game when it's pads on, some of those guys get to missing. So, because now that offensive tackle has something to grab, not try to keep his hands inside while the spandex is just rubbing right off it. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see them get that chance to grow and then get a real chance to compete there in, what would you say that is? November, December? January. It has to be in January because February is National Signing Day. And some of them are already signed in that December, but they still play in that game. So
Falcon Rex is back. Appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much for that. A couple super chats in from Falcon Rex. Missed Cam, but want to get the X's and O's from H1H.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Then we also have our guy Bobby chiming in. Thank you so much for being here, Bobby. Thank you for the contribution. Got nothing to say, but thank you for your support. We appreciate that.
Ooh.
Bobby does have this to say. We all know that Miami is 2 to 3 years away from competing for a natty. TBD will obviously be gone. Who do you see being the quarterback to get us there? Garcia, Brown, Rashada?
Oh, great question. I would say this 2 to 3 years away. So that would say in year 24 or 25. I think Garcia will be an older prospect by then. But if the program is rolling and he may only play 1 or 2 seasons here anyway. So this is really like a Ja'Cory Brown and Jalen Rashada kind of question. Um, I think first off, I believe TBD can get us to the playoffs, but that's just me. I think Jake Garcia can be the one to help us win the ACC, but he may not be the one to hoist the national championship trophy. We may still not be there yet, but we can go to the playoffs and maybe have like a Michigan kind of thing where you get there, you're in competition, you're fighting, but you're just not championship level just yet, national championship level just yet. Maybe similar to a Michigan State when they went in 2015 to Washington the year after that, where these teams have like a spark, but they're still not there as a program yet in the top echelon, and maybe took advantage of a lesser conference and were able to make it. I would say it would have to be. I'm gonna go with Ja'Cory Brown. So Ja'Cory Brown could be the quarterback to get us in the national championship game because some of the stuff I've seen, Mark, from these off-season workouts and just the almost 7-8 months that he has been here, and Coach Feld and Coach Cristobal, a lot of our players have made drastic mark. And I'm not talking about like, oh man, they look good and veiny and shredded. I'm talking like statistically, meaning we're dropping body fat at a high percentage. We are completely toning the muscle mass percentage in our players and dropping the body fat percentage and bone structure and that stuff, man. I'm amped. And Ja'Cory Brown is one of them. He weighed in January. Oh, I took a picture. Hold on. Let me read this off to you really fast. I want to make sure I get this right. That's Brashard Smith. That's Mitchell Aguda. Ja'Cory Brown. Ja'Cory Brown in January came in at 199 pounds. He's now 215. In January, he had a body fat percentage of 10.6. Now he has a 7% body fat percentage. He had a muscle mass of 106.7 in January. Now he has 115.5. And he had a fat percentages of 17.4. Now he's down to 15% body fat. Okay, now, again, those are just the numbers, but I think I like him. I like him. I like his tenacity. Is there a lot that we have to work on with them? Sure. But there's a lot that you work on with quarterbacks anyhow. You know, that's why they come in, and probably only 1 or 2 prospects are usually don't have to touch. Just give them the uniform, kind of get out the way and let them go kick butt. Majority of the time, we have to influence and help grow these young men.
This is what Herschel has to say. 2 to 3 years, my ass. Why can't we do like LSU did? Why can't we do like Urban Meyer his first year at Ohio State? That team was 5-6, 6-7 before he got there. Who on our schedule can beat us? Like, really?
I like. Don't get me fired up. I like the energy, brother. I really do. Me and Mark have had this conversation multiple times. Now, I don't know if you got to think that LSU thing was the perfect marriage. It was beautiful. And we could have that. And again, people in the preseason didn't know LSU was going to be that until it happened. Even during the season, everybody's all right, well, wait until they run into Bama. And then they beat Bama. So you have to, I get it, and have your confidence. Wear your cane swag with confidence. I agree. You want to talk that talk that talk. All I'm saying is we have to allow ourselves the opportunity to see it. You can believe all you want to and talk the smack you want to, but understand they still have to go out here and do it. You know, Joe Burrow and Joe Brady and those wide receivers, I mean, it was a gradual buildup. And you also got to think LSU has always been kind of in conversation. And then they had that mix and it took off. I can't say that about us. I can't say that we have that kind of roster. I can't say that we have that kind of talent right now until I'm proven right or wrong with the product that's on the football field. So again, I don't shun you for how you feel. And again, Urban Meyer's a top 3 greatest of all time to do the profession. So that's a little different. And like again, we talk about it when people go to their alma maters, it's a little different. So maybe we get that kind of thing out of Coach Cristobal. I would love it. Mark would have me on every single day if Miami were to go undefeated, beat Clemson twice, and be in the playoffs. I would be unbearable. They would have to call me and give me a cease and desist. I would be live that many times. So trust me, brother, I'm with you.
We should have at least 1,000 people on here live. At least 1,000 people on here live. So, Miami fans, why don't you show some faith and get those numbers up to 1,000 anyway?
Mark, could you
Usually
imagine?
get about 200 to 300 on here. So if everybody grabs 2 or 3 or 4 friends, we can make that happen.
I agree. And we're getting closer and closer to the season. Next week, we start our position by position breakdown with the defensive side of the ball going first. So tell a friend to tell a friend next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your boy, the host, One Holler, will be breaking down the defensive side of the ball for 1 whole hour from the defensive tackles all the way back to the free safeties and their backups with no notes. So make sure you're here. Make sure you are here.
I have got Phil Steele's offense, defense, and overall forecast 2022 Miami right in front of me.
Talk to me. I want to hear this.
Let's see what your response is here. And everybody, we had Phil Steele on earlier today live. So check that out. It's on the channel.
It's not like the third year in a row you've had him, though. You usually get a chance to get him on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy. And
let's see if I still feel that way after you read this.
If I want to brag a little bit, I'm going to clip off a few things that he had to say as promotional videos.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he always likes to backtrack. So he always likes to lead up to the current by going back to say, okay, this is how we got here. So he says in 2019, Miami had just 25.7 points per game. This is on offense. And 367 yards per game. Quarterback De'Ara King was added in 20, and my computer projected 33.1 points per game and 441 yards per game. And they almost hit those perfect at 34 points per game and 440 yards per game. King tore his ACL in the bowl game. Last year in his first 4 versus FBS foes, Miami had just 20.8 points per game. Then Van Dyke took charge, and Miami had 36.7 points per game the last 7. This year, Van Dyke is back and will be working behind an improved offensive line and has plenty of VHTs. He writes in code sometimes, so you got to figure out what that means. I'd have to look that up, what he means by that. Has VHTs in the skill positions, maybe veterans? I don't know. My computer is calling for a jump from 34.1 to 37.6 points per game. He's got him scoring 3.5 more points per game this year.
That wouldn't be bad, especially because he was talking about the last 8 games where TBD was taking over and we were doing that. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, there are going to be plenty of games on their roster. We're going to need more points than that, Mark.
Yes.
I don't know if 37 offensive points would be great. But it's an average, so there are going to be some where you shoot above it, sometimes you shoot below it, sometimes you shoot way below it, but you hope the defense shows up that day. Tell you what, you want to beat Clemson, you're going to need probably 42, 45. You want to beat Clemson. Oh, yeah. You would have to,
not with my offense played last year.
True. But why not aim for the sky?
I hear you. VHT, very highly touted top recruits. Okay. That meant. All right. Defense. Miami had 9 starters back last year, but allowed 390 yards per game and 28.4 points per game, which was disappointing as my computer had forecasted them for 24.7 points per game. Poor tackling was a major problem all year. This year, new defensive coordinator Kevin Steele should get the tackling problem corrected, and they had a big and deep defensive line that should help the overall defense.
That part, I agree 100%. If everyone were to stay healthy, Mark, this would be the most. That would be 7 defensive tackles. That's the deepest I can remember Miami being. Miami has 11 cornerbacks on the roster right now. Of those 11, 9 of them are 4 stars or higher. Okay. Safeties. We have 14 safeties. I'm like, it's a deep defense. Now, here's the thing. Safety is split up, so it's like 3 and strong. So you got 7 and 7. They also add star in there too. Star/striker, which is our new striker position. So they're counted in there. So it's really like 4, 4, and 3 if you were to add all the safeties up. But I look at what he's saying is, to be honest with you, you win the game up front. And if you're able to rotate and at least go 2 deep in quality, if your ones are up here, but your 2s are way down here, that's a big drop off. But if your 1s are up here, your 2s are just here, your 3s are just here, that's not too much of a difference. And we can rotate in and out. Make sure you never have 2 3s on the field at the same time, but 2 2s, 1 and a 2, 2 and a 3, you mix it up. You can really get after things on that front and really harass the quarterback. And like I said before, I give credit to what Coach Diaz and that staff did in 2017. And that was our method of winning, harassing the quarterback, getting in the face of the quarterback, influencing the throw of the quarterback. The reason why they say the game is won and lost in the fronts is because those are the 2 things that influence the most important person on the team, the quarterback. If you don't have a good offensive line, you can't protect them. We can't get things done. If you don't have a good defensive line, he sits back there and pats the ball, and eventually someone is going to pop open. Deion Sanders can't cover for 8 seconds. That's just how it is. Now, if we have to blitz, if we have to send edge rush or safety nickel blitzes off the end, if we have to shoot linebackers, now we're affecting our coverage because we can't do our job on the front. So I 1,000% get it. 1,000% get where he's coming from. And I agree. We have to take the steps up defensively, and it starts in the front with the depth and the size that we already have up there.
Okay, so his overall take here is Miami got the call as my number 1 most improved team in 2020 after the magazine went to press. So this was his prediction for 2020, just to clear that up. Then after the magazine went to press, Clemson was added to the schedule. Miami opened 8-1, was number 9 in the country with only a loss to Clemson. They did not finish well with a blowout loss to North Carolina and a close bowl loss. 8-3 dropped to number 22. If the ACC had divisions, Miami would have won the Coastal in 2020. Last year, with De'Ara King back at quarterback, expectations were high. King was not 100% when the OFY, I'll have to figure out what that means, was after 3 starts. Miami missed a game-winning field goal versus Virginia, then was at the UNC 16, but a tip pass was intercepted and a 3-point loss to fall to 2-4 for the first time since 1997. Van Dyke led them to a solid 5-1 finish, with Florida State getting an improbable comeback win. Miami was 3 plays away from 10-2, but at 7 fired Manny Diaz. Miami's 1-10 in bowls since 2006. New head coach Mario Cristobal played here on the offensive line and is looking to return Miami to the glory days. Last year, they were plus 46 yards per game in the ACC. This year, they are much improved at both the offensive and defensive lines and have one of the nation's top quarterbacks. They do have to face Texas A&M early and also draw Clemson on the road, but out of the Atlantic Division. They do get the big coastal games versus Pitt and North Carolina at home, and all 9 sets of my power ratings call for double-digit wins.
Phil, we're a good guy. He's a good guy. He's still a good guy. Like I said, Mark, before, I definitely say 10-2. We've had this conversation plenty of times. I just don't know if this team could be able to pull off beating both. I mean, you know what? I'll put it to you like this: Miami goes 10-2, but the two losses aren't to A&M and Clemson. Could you imagine that? Let's say, for example, they lose to Georgia Tech and Pitt, but beat Clemson and A&M. You know, what would your outlook be? What would you say?
I would be a little surprised by that. I would not be surprised by splitting Clemson, Texas A&M, and then dropping a fluke game.
Some stupid loss, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would foresee happening.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I have put. You know, I haven't put money on it yet, but because you know we can't condone betting. But I
have yet to unveil my prediction as well, but for some reason, I think that regardless of what I pick, people are going to be mad here on the Miami channel because they're mad about my predictions every year.
And that's all right. I mean, because at the end of the day, what we have to do, and that's the thing about being a fan. You look at that team, you follow these players, you become obsessed with the players in the program, and you see and believe that they can be sometimes better than what they are. You know, some people are fans of elite programs like Ohio State or Georgia or Bama, where, you know, you can give a crap less about the players because it doesn't matter. You still get the same product. They come in, they leave, they go in the first round, and you replace it with another big time prospect. But when you're a fan of a program that hasn't been doing too well and is trying to reascend and become the Phoenix and rise again, you continuously want to have that. And you visualize it, you pray for it, you think on it, and sometimes you look back 4 months from now and you go, maybe next year, and then the same thing happens again, you know, next July. It's just how it is how the cookie crumbles when you're a fan of a program that has almost everything it needs to reascend, but continues to just get in its own way. And I'm hoping that under this new regime and under the new administration, that we won't continue to get in our own way. Just let the cards fall as they may. Handle what you can handle, control what you can control, and be ungodly prepared and play your asses off. And I see there's no way you're not no less than 9-3, but you know, like I said, my 10-2 prediction, if you just do those things, you show up, you play your asses off because you got the talent, and you are ungodly prepared, and you don't quit. And I don't see us going no less than 9-3.
I will say that after some things that I heard at ACC kickoff, and I'm not going to let that sway me because that's just talk. That's not personnel breakdowns and really figuring things out. And I got to say that I've had everything basically in my household packed up for like 2 weeks, including this. So I haven't had really time to dissect, but I will get into that soon, maybe spend a really late night tonight. That I got to say, if somebody held a gun to my head right this second, I'd pick Miami to win the Coastal. Mm-hmm. But I don't like to do it like that. I am going to give strong consideration to Pitt, and I'm going to give consideration to North Carolina, and I'm going to give a smidge of consideration to Virginia.
Okay. Yo, I'm one of the rare people that really like Coach Elliott. A lot of people don't. They think he sucks, thinks he was this horrible offensive coordinator. I think he just fits at a program like that. And not saying he'll ever win. I mean, they could go 7-5. People are pretty happy and proud of him. You know, 8-4, somewhere in there. But I like him, and I think he's going to be a pretty good coach. But why do you look at it?
Well, I'm going to have to really look at their potential to have a running game and a defense, and I know that's almost the entire. Like when they played Miami last year. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the point spread was in that. I remember having this conversation. I think it was with Cam, because I think Miami was only like a 3 or 4 point favorite, something like that. And I was like, they're at home. Virginia basically can do one thing. They got a great quarterback and they've got weapons at receiver. And that's almost, they had a horrible defense last year. They gave up 66 points to BYU. They gave up 50 points multiple times. They had a bad defense, and they couldn't run the ball. The quarterback can run the ball and throw everything's quarterback and the tight ends and the receivers. That's everything. So I thought Miami should win this game comfortably. But yeah, and I don't think you can survive. I don't think you can survive a season like that. So I'm probably not. There's pretty much no way I'm going to pick Virginia, but I'm just intrigued. But they would have to get a whole lot better on defense.
Mark, I tell you this. Majority of the stuff, when you're doing this and you study as much as I do, the main thing that just gets under your skin is you're seeing people be taught the wrong things or see young men not be comfortable because they don't believe in what's being taught and they know in order to keep my job, I have to do what coach says do. And to see an entire program be ran that way, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And again, Virginia, Tallahassee, and then that same team somehow beats NC State and Pittsburgh, who at one point was playing like a top 10 team in the country. On the road, no less. We went to Pittsburgh, one of their rare, it was close to a sellout. They were expecting to blow Miami out the window there because I think Miami was 2-4 at that game, and Miami wins that one and wins a bunch more, stuff like that. So I just think you got to be able to get rid of those kind of things where Virginia, and then be able to bounce back. Okay, these things do happen. Is it unfortunate? Absolutely. Good for them. Good game planning by them. They executed at a high level. They won the game. Now, can we move on to the next week? And can we be prepared for Virginia Tech? Can we be prepared for Tallahassee? Can we be prepared for North Carolina? Can we be prepared for Pitt the week after a tough loss? Because these things do happen. And the question and the answer to that usually is no. You come out, you start slow, and a bad Tallahassee team has a 14-0 first quarter score on you because you just can't figure it out. Then you come storming back, you're going for it on fourth down, and your side of the stadium is going crazy. Everyone's super. I mean, it's just boom, 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 boom. And then you find a way to lose it in the end. So those kind of things. Now, for being honest with you, the person we hired, and Coach Cristobal, has a way of dropping those kinds of games. He loses to a above average Arizona State. He loses to a horrific Stanford. These things do happen. Now, he's not Urban Meyer. He's not Nick Saban. So there may be times where we are 10-1 and we throw a stinker to Georgia Tech. But can you get the team to rally up? Similar to the Pittsburgh game in 2017. You go on a 10-game winning streak. You're undefeated all year long. You're number 2 in the country. You lose to a horrific Pitt team. Then you come out flat against Clemson. A week and a half later. So these kinds of things, and that comes from coaching, that comes from culture, that comes from senior leadership, that comes from being able to put it all together and rebound.
Falcon Rex, we appreciate it. Mario will handle sloppy play penalties and lateness.
How many times are you going to change your profile picture? Because this was the original picture that I remember you by. And then, like last week, you had some regular selfie on there. 2 weeks before that, you had the flag. You got to pick one, dude. But thank you for the donation.
Well, this is the one I think of. This is the one that tells me, screams at me, Falcon Rex.
It's terrifying.
Miami will shock Texas A&M and old Jimbo.
I can see it. I can see it.
I can too.
I could also see Miami going out there and just not being ready for the program that's been established. I could see Miami losing by 17. I could see Miami winning by 3. And that's the thing about the program, similar to USC. Shout out to Tim Pringle. That's the thing that happens when it comes to these programs that you can foresee being so great and having the recruiting and having the prestige. but then they just squander it. You're wondering what's going on. And I'm hoping that the leadership, the culture, and the work ethic and the senior led leadership that Coach Cristobal and his staff are bringing to this team, the sense of seriousness, is what's going to make those kind of things go. It's a good
And
point.
Bobby Doss, thank you so much again for another super chat there. Yes, when Alabama played Miami, I feel like you guys didn't have enough in the trenches, but Mario is doing a great job on the recruiting trail.
I agree 1,000%. And at the end of the day, we have to get that. And that's not something that you talk about. That's not something that you just lift weights. You got to bring the guys in. Okay, the times of having midget Mac 5'10" middle linebackers, we got to get rid of that. The days of having 6'1" sloppy bodied, above average defensive tackles, we got to get rid of that. You need 6'3", you need 6'4", you need 300 pounds or 290 pounds coming in. You need ready made bodies to grab and go. Right now, we don't have the time to bring in 3 stars, reshape their body, reflip their body, coach them all up. We got to do it now. You can't talk about 2023 or 24. And that's what I love about Coach Cristobal and his approach is I want to swing with the big fishes now. I want to go toe-to-toe with Bama for linemen. Yeah, they could win some. We're going to win some. That's what happens. I want to go toe-to-toe with Georgia for linebackers. They're going to win some. We're going to win some. The days of, and again, who were the teams that did this kind of stuff? Jimbo Fisher, when he was in Tallahassee, he went toe-to-toe with the top tier in recruiting. Um, Dabo's Coach Sweeney. What did he do? Toe to toe in recruiting, elite wide receivers, elite defensive line, elite quarterback. Figure out the rest, but those 3 things are going to be elite. That was his plan. Look at Coach Cristobal when he was at Oregon. He built that thing from inside out to the point where they're winning 10 games and going to a New Year's Six with a dude that couldn't hit this lamp right here with the ball. And Anthony Brown, pitiful quarterback. But he built so much around him. First round pick at offensive tackle, first round pick at defensive end, numerous draft picks all over the team, a future top 5 pick at middle linebacker in Panay Sewell or Noah, whichever one it is, the linebacker. No, it's all about the talent acquisition, the talent acquisition. And again, all I'm saying is we have to have that mindset. I'm not saying Miami's winning the national championship in 2022. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is gone are the days of a coach coming in and using, give me 2 to 3 years to get my guys in here as an excuse. That's gone. He got here, and from the minute he was announced, he was already at Miami Central, which is 2.5 miles away from University of Miami campus, talking to their head coach and recruiting in the same suit that he was just announced as the head coach in. He was already recruiting once pen went to paper and the ink wasn't even dry before he started recruiting. That's the kind of stuff you have to do. You got to come in there and you got to get to swinging.
And well, I was going to say the guy that he had before Anthony Brown, he was pretty good.
Oh yeah, some guy named Justin Herbert. You ever heard of that guy? I don't know.
I would like to
Some
see some side by sides with Justin Herbert and Tyler Van Dyke. I think there might be some similarities there.
I think Mark is trying to get me to get fired up here, guys. He's trying to get me, give me Holloway. He's trying to get me to get fired up and get all excited and bust out the Ray Lewis. I tell you this, Mark, we win the ACC. I'll bust out the Ray for you. Nice. I'll bring out the water. I'll spit the water in the air, Triple H style. I got you. Tell you what. Have you seen that video yet?
No.
Oh man. Let me see if I got it here. Oh, so this is what. So Coach Cristobal, I made a bet with everybody in on the live stream that once he was the head coach, that I would, cut the rug and bust the Ray Lewis out for
Oh,
everybody.
nice. We're not
And
gonna be able to see this over the internet. You're gonna have to drop the link. I don't think anybody's gonna be like if you hold the phone up to the maybe somebody.
yeah, hold on. Let's give it a shot. Let's see if I can
Okay.
find it first. But we could bring up something else, but I'd see if I can find this video. It's somewhere way in here. Man. It was so bad, Mark. My granddad called me. Boy, you on YouTube dancing?
Oh man, I gotta
Uh,
see this.
oh man, cut a rug, Mark. Cut a rug. Coach Cristobal, he can do that to you.
Falconer X line play ain't sexy, but it wins natties.
It's the best way to do it. Up front. Up front. It's the only way that is sustainable too, Mark. I mean, you look at any of these programs that are not here today and gone tomorrow. You talk about programs that are here year in and year out on a consistent basis. What do they all have in common? Elite play on the offensive and defensive lines. So that's simple.
T West likes my TVD Justin Herbert comparison.
It's a great comp. Now, if he can go out there and play like it, that would be beautiful. But, oh man, where is this thing? I'm sorry, y'all. I should be a lot more organized.
Terrence, we appreciate you and others encouraging everyone to hit the like button. So here's the homework. It's real simple. It's real easy. The easiest homework you'll ever have. Hit the like button. Watch what you missed. So many of you get in here late, 10 minutes late, 45 minutes late, whatever it might be. So you just wait for the video to post, which takes seconds, minutes, maybe after we're done here, and you watch what you missed. And then also get on out there next week and bring some folks in here. So here we go.
All right. Let's see. We got
Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. There we go.
You're too high for this. Oh, okay.
It's freezing
It's
out.
so choppy.
Let's go.
Ooh, that's it.
Yeah, he got me to cut up, man. He got me
Little
to
old
cut up.
school Ray Lewis in the middle of that.
Yeah, man. I share it on social media. It's on Twitter. It's on Twitter. It's there. And I think it's on YouTube too. If you type in host one Holloway Ray Lewis dance. HOLSUM host one Holloway Ray Lewis dance. Yeah, I was cutting up. I can still get down like that. Yep. Yep. It's called H18. H1H brings out the Ray Lewis dance.
It's beautiful.
Right there. That's the most recent one. That other one was the one I showed you was an older video. But that one is from when that was the day of Coach Cristobal being announced, and they were like, "You gotta do it." I tried to wait all the way to the end of the show, Mark. I was like, "Oh yeah, hey, have a good day. God bless. Go Canes." They're like, "No. You got to do the Ray Rays." Okay, and I cut a rug. What I've always wanted to ask you that when it came to Miami players going off to the National Football, would you say that it's the best NFL factory as far as guys going from college football to the NFL and having success, or would you say there were other teams that you could put out there? Because I look at Alabama and these guys don't like take over.
Yeah.
They're pretty good players. Of course, they're talented, but they don't go in and become these world-renowned Hall of Famers. Julio Jones is probably one. Derrick Henry is the other one that comes to mind. That's
Sure.
really big time. But
Yeah.
they were like almost 10 years apart too. So.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, that what you were bringing up is something I've brought up a number of times, because it's easy to compile the numbers and just roll out the schools and say how many NFL draft picks, how many first round picks. I'd like to see somebody really take that on, and I'm not the person to do it, because it would just take zillions of hours to, number one, from a draft selection standpoint, go a little bit deeper with that, to actually maybe give a point system to, you could be drafted the last pick of the first round and get that first round selection in that school's category, and somebody else is going to be the first pick of the second round and they don't get, you know what I mean? So
Right.
have all that fairly built into a system to reflect that. Okay, so that's just draft. That doesn't speak to what you're talking about, going out onto the field and performing. So then coming up with some kind of scale of determining, which is easy to do with quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, because of yardage and stats, but to give some kind of metric to offensive linemen, how many games started, all pro Bowl selections, I don't know, maybe whatever system you would trust their grade to see how effective they are in the NFL, and go through all the players and figure out. We all look up the numbers on who has the most NFL draft picks and the most first round picks. Most first round picks of all time is Ohio State. The most NFL draft picks of all time, I still think, is USC.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe Ohio State and Notre Dame are up there. But obviously that goes back to the first NFL draft.
I was going to say, I think they've been playing ball half a century longer than Miami.
Yeah. Although there was no NFL draft until 1930. I don't know why 36 stands in my head. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't have an answer for you. It seems like it. It seems like from the mid 80s to the mid 2000s that Miami was producing not just the most NFL picks, but the most successful guys that had really good, strong, impactful careers. And then also the Ed Reeds that had all-time great careers. It seems like it.
I mean, and I'm not trying to. I don't. You know how the other channel always brings up Miami, so I don't need to bring up the other schools. But I look at some of the. You could argue that Miami at all the major position has a Hall of Famer. Excluding maybe left tackle, but we have Hall of Fame quarterbacks, running back, wide receivers, tight end eventually here. So. Defensive tackles, linebackers, safeties, outside linebackers, and Hendricks, Ted Hendricks, edge rusher, outside linebacker kind of prospects. So,
yep.
I mean, you could argue that. Now, does that mean that we should land the number one defensive tackle in the country because Warren Sapp and Cortez Kennedy went here? No, but I'm saying that you can argue. I don't know if Bryant McKinnie would be a Hall of Famer there, Jamal Fleming. I don't know. I don't know about his NFL career as much as I know he was one of the best tackles in college football history in his 2-year time. Didn't give up a collegiate sack. So,
and it's funny because he was featured at the spring game. They talked to him at the spring game, and that was running through my mind when they talked to him. I thought he had a great NFL career. I wonder how much consideration he's getting for the Hall of Fame.
Right, because, I mean, he came to my Baltimore Ravens in 2011 and helped us win the championship the very next season in 2012 as our left tackle. But, just like the U83, 87, 89, 91, 01 down there said, Bryant McKinnie was well known to not be in love with football, just good at it. He's a 6'8", 330-pound monster. So he just went out there, did his job, and went home. He wasn't obsessed with the game and an obsessive, blocker. He just made sure his guy didn't touch the quarterback. And back then, that's probably as easy as it could go.
So you just brought up the tight end position and soon to be Hall of Famer. I got 3 guys in mind. I'm thinking Jeremy Shockey. I'm thinking Jimmy Graham. I'm thinking Greg Olson.
I think
Are those the 3 guys you're thinking of?
Yeah, I was thinking 2 of those 3. I think Greg, especially for the stuff that he's a Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, like a multi-time finalist. He's getting into coaching now. He's been broadcasted recently, so his name and face will be out there. You get what I'm saying? So people will know a lot about him. He's the leadingest reception in Panthers history. Yards are only second to their, Steve Smith, their version of Santana Moss. So that's kind of how that went for him. So I would say those 2. Now I think Shockey, if he didn't succumb to his demons as far as partying and things of that nature, then he probably would be a Hall of Famer, because I think he is everything that Gronk was, Jeremy Shockey was before him. As far as a red zone menace, a run block menace, just had his off the field demons, and things didn't work out too much for him.
Yeah, Greg Olson caught 742 passes in the NFL with 78 touchdowns. And he had, from 2007 to 16, those are 10 like super productive seasons. And about 4 of them were great. Like 84 catches, 1,000 yards, 77 catches, 1,000 yards, 80 catches, 1,000 yards.
As a tight end.
Yeah. Then he must have gotten hurt, because he went from all those great seasons to only 7 games, 17 catches, and then he was never the same.
Yeah, it just started kind of dwindling off there. Didn't he stay a Panther his entire time, or did he dibble and dabble outside?
He had a cup of coffee with the Seahawks in 2020.
Right. I think his last season was with Russell, and that season was pretty good, right?
Yeah, he caught 24 balls his last season. Caught 52 passes his second to last season, so he didn't completely. Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I really think Jimmy Graham could have been. It may be like 20 years from now, so he gets in. But
yeah, the way he was going.
Man, you talk about his time in the late 2000s and early 2010s with the Saints, when he was just like unguarded, because no one who was going to guard him. They put him at wide receiver just to throw fade routes to him. Who's going to jump with him? He's 6'7", with track speed and all kind. He was a dynamic player, and it wasn't his fault. He was traded. He was traded to the Seattle Seahawks, and I just didn't think that was a good mix. And it just never worked well, because Seattle was a run-first, defensive-oriented organization. He's a receiving tight end. It didn't mesh well, but. The Saints did what they had to do to get Max Unger, which was one of the best guards, best centers in the NFL at that time. They moved on from him, but I think if he would have stayed with Drew Brees, him and Gronk would be tit for tat all the way to the Hall of Fame. I know Gronk is. There's no question about it. Gronk is. But Jimmy Graham was up there.
Tight end led the NFL in receptions one year. Tight end led the NFL in touchdowns one year. So Jimmy Graham had 4 crazy good years. He caught 99, 85, 86, 85.
Did he ever amass 1,400 yards or what?
1310.
I was going to say it was like one crazy season. What was that, 2011?
11, yep. Caught 99 balls. 1310.
Crazy. Yeah, 2011. Because I just remember this segment where Warren Sapp and Michael Irvin are going nuts on NFL Network. And they're just like, well, we got the greatest tight end. And Shannon Sharp at the time was a guest there, so he took it personal. Man, he don't do nothing. They say, you know, Warren's a butthole. Warren goes, you didn't block either, Shannon. And everybody just bust out laughing, you know, because Shannon was thought of as not the best blocker. He was a receiving tight end, and Deion Sanders just bust out laughing. It was those days of NFL Network were different. Michael Irvin and Warren Sapp and Shannon Sharp and Willie McGinnis and Deion Sanders. Man, what a time.
All right. Another super chat coming in from Med Student Kane. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the contribution. H1H, besides the offensive line, is there another position you're expecting to see a lot of improvement on when compared to last year?
Low-hanging fruit would be wide receiver. I'm going to give you something different this week. Cornerback. I think with the addition of some transfers in the cornerback position, I think with the movement of Tyreek Stevenson inside as like your nickel, star, striker, outside linebacker hybrid, I think Al Blaze Jr. has something to prove coming back from getting bronchitis off of his complications of COVID-19. Thank God he still has his life. He was able to come back from that and is now in full shape to be able to contribute to a football team, getting this win and being able to breathe again. I'm going to say cornerback. I don't know too much about DJ Ivy being able to kind of contribute at that higher level, but we will see. We will see what he can do. But Daryl Porter Jr. and Al Blaze Jr. and Tyreek Stevenson and Marcus Clark and Corey Couch, I'm definitely keen, especially with them having coach. What? We got another commit? Oh, that's Tommy Kessler. Okay. Because everybody in the chat just kept saying David Hicks to the U. So I was trying to see if that was true or not, if he did commit to Miami. But anyway.
Before I forget, Wholesome One, I will leave this up to you. And you know what? I shouldn't put you on. I'm not going to put you on the spot in front of everyone.
Put me on the spot.
I'm going to. Okay. You brought up tight ends before.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so our guy, Corey Braddup, he's on from the Hawkeye at the Storm. He's our Iowa contributor on our Iowa show.
Oh, I know where this is going.
He wants a debate on tight end U.
Tell him I'm here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And whenever he wants some, he can come get some.
Okay.
I will respectfully debate a Midwesterner. I will never share the screen with a Tallahassee man or woman, but I will respectfully go toe-to-toe with an Iowa guy.
This came up, I don't know, 6 months ago, whenever it was, when he just kind of in passing said Iowa produces the best NFL tight ends. And I went, wait a minute. Hang on just a second. And he was like, well, come on. You know, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Clark, And I said, first of all, anytime you get into this whole DBU or tight end U or whatever, first thing in my mind you have to distinguish is, are we talking about right now?
Right.
Are we talking about all time, going back to the 30s, 40s?
Because if you do that, then Notre Dame is definitely in the conversation too. They produce some really good ones too.
Or are you talking, you got to specify the time. The last 20 years, whatever it is. That's the only thing I would ask of both of you. I would say, okay, we need to have an agreement over, and I will have a blast moderating that one. I'll be typing away and looking up stats and
Mark, whenever he's ready, I have no problem. I think that would be a healthy debate because it's not about demeaning one or the other. It's just he has his guys that he thinks are good, and they're doing very well right now. Shout out to them. I mean, they were one of the first programs to have in the same draft 2 tight ends picked in the first round. I have no disrespect towards them. I think that Miami is tight end U, but I think Iowa is number 2. I would say Notre Dame is number 3. SC at one point was kind of spitting them out, but then they didn't really produce well at that level.
Stanford.
Stanford was kicking butt for a bit, and then they kind of, waned off there. I think the culture at Iowa is also the upfront guys. They don't really glorify their backs. They don't glorify their quarterbacks, their receivers, their corners. They glorify if your hand is in the dirt. Defensive ends, defensive tackles, offensive linemen, tight ends, fullbacks. Those guys are really glorified and respected at a place like Iowa. So I definitely see why he would take a lot of pride in that. And I would love to debate him on it. And yeah, bring him, sure.
Sweet. Okay. I will let him know. We are here. Okay. All right, folks. Appreciate you being here. We tapped out around 2:20, 2:30 in here. If everybody brings a friend or two or three, we could do big things. We don't need to settle in at 200 to 250 every week. We can go get a friend or two. Bring them on in here. It's almost football time.
Mark, I have one last question for you before we get out here. A lot of people have this debate when it comes to first-year coaches or coaches in their first couple of months on the job. Do you believe that you can see the signs of a great coach before he coaches a game due to recruiting? Or do you believe that it has to be once you see him coach his first season and his win-loss record, regardless of recruiting? So what I'm asking you is when that first season, you come back on after the first season is concluded and it's February, whatever, because now for some reason we play the national championship way yonder. And you look and you say, first coach so-and-so, whether it be Mario Cristobal, whether it be the USC coach and Lincoln Riley, whether it be insert name here. Do you need to be able to look at their recruiting class and go, no, he's going to be a good coach? Or do you have to look at the on-the-field product first to be able to know what's going to happen with that coach?
Well, to me, to build a great football team, you have to do generally about 4 things. So there's a process of there's recruiting, and the process of recruiting before you even sign anyone, building relationships, doing all those things, that going through the grind, working, building relationships, showing off the facility, doing everything to put the best foot forward. And then you seal the deal. You got to be able to seal the deal. You sign the players, talent acquisition. That's the wrap up of number 1. Then number 2, you get those student athletes on campus and you develop them as players. Physically, mentally, their approach to the game, being a quote unquote professional as they take on their job. I'm not calling them professionals, but you know what I mean. Taking it seriously, being a professional, being studious at watching film, lifting weights, doing everything they can to be their best, and helping them with that, improving them from a technique standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. And then you get this team and you put them all together, all those individuals together. And of course, it's about schemes and plans and strategies and developing plays, especially on offense, play calling and all that. And then you build your concepts, and every coach has their philosophies and concepts and their core values. I'm not talking about morality values. I'm talking about values as a football coach on the field. And then you got to go prepare the team to execute that. And then you go into the arena and you execute. And then you see how good the coach is and the coaching staff at adapting during the game, changing, seeing things that they didn't expect to see, and being able to adjust and get their players ready and flexible to adjust to adverse situations and things that they haven't seen. And you put all that together and it equals a great football team. Okay. So before any of that happens, or before we see the results of that, 2 things come to mind in terms of evaluating a coach that hasn't played a game. And one would be the obvious recruiting. How well are they doing in recruiting? Number 2 would be there are no great head football coaches who didn't assemble great staffs. You take, you bring up Nick Saban and Urban Meyer all the time. But if they assembled the worst coaching staff in college football, if you gave them the worst offensive coordinator, the worst offensive line coach, if you gave them that would be funny to figure out. They'd probably be yanking their hair out, going crazy. They
Right.
probably,
It might still go 8-4, but it'll be a rough 8-4. Yeah.
But so it's just like a CEO. How smart are they? Well, a really good one is smart, but they probably hire smarter people. They have a eye for talent and skills and character and all those things. And I think a great head coach has that too.
Right.
So I think those are the basic two things in the offseason that you can see for sure.
Okay. So you think that, and the reason why I asked this, I get this from a good friend of mine, Rican K and Swag. He's a big time YouTuber. Oh, he's not big. He's big time to me. I think he's amazing at what he does. But in his soliloquy, he always has this. He goes down the line of the great coaches, and he always says, "Look at their year one. You saw, irregardless of the outcome on the football field, you saw a level of seriousness, a level of investment, a staff, and recruiting. The recruiting would just be up there. You got Marcel Darius, Mark Ingram, and Julio Jones committing to Nick Saban 3 weeks after he lost to UNL Monroe. Okay, you have Urban Meyer. He goes under sanctions year one, although they were undefeated and they kicked everybody's butt majority of that year. Probably could have won a national championship if they were allowed to. That team, they played aggressive. It's crazy to see they did that 180, but it happens. And they went on to win a national championship 2 years after that. They went undefeated. But you look at that, and then he signs a top 3 class that had Ezekiel Elliott and Joey Bosa and all those guys in it, and they reaped the benefits of winning that championship a couple seasons later. But he brings that stuff up, and then the rebuttal that a bunch of people in the comment section or fans or whatever say back to him is, "Oh man, we won't know about Coach Cristobal, until he wins on the football field." And his argument is, the greatness building of an elite head coach is done way before he even coaches that first game. If we wait until then to start judging them, we're behind the 8 ball. You got to look at all the other intangibles. So I wanted to see if you would be in line with that, because I agree. Now I do understand that all that other stuff sounds good. You got to go out there and win, especially at a place like Miami. But I understand that we got a pretty good staff. Again, it's just on paper. They haven't coached a game yet, but it's a pretty good staff. Top 10 staff in the country. We have a proven head coach, a championship winning head coach, a bunch of other people on the staff who are former head coaches and winners. And we have a pretty dang good quarterback, top 5 at least. So we could be in conversation. We still got to go out there and handle it. But I just wanted to see how you felt about that, because that was a big debate amongst the Miami Hurricanes fan base. And hopefully you all in the comment section can get into it once this post says the hashtag Rewatch Squad, and let us know. In your opinion, is it based on recruiting in the preseason? Or, in your opinion, will you judge him on the win-loss record? Let us know in the comment section below.
Now, if all those indicators in the offseason don't add up the wins and losses by, let's say, year 2, year 3, then that's all that matters eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Falconer X, NFL Hall of Fame, name change to NFL Hall of Fame.
It might be, Mark. I think we're on pace to have the most Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
We have 8 right now.
Okay. I have no idea what that let's see. Based on this list, when was this made? When was this posted? Oh, this was posted just a couple months ago. Here's the top 10. Illinois 6. Minnesota 7. Syracuse 7. No. Why does it say Syracuse 7? Then it says Syracuse 8. Anyway, Alabama 8. Pitt 9.
Miami 9.
Miami 9.
Yeah.
Ohio State 10. Michigan 11, USC 14, Notre Dame 14. So Notre Dame, USC with 14, Michigan 11, Ohio State 10, Miami and somebody else 9, Pitt.
Yeah, Miami and Pitt with 9. That's after this past year. So there's a chance. Let's go down the list here, Mark. Okay. That's 9, 9. 10, Devin Hester, who should have went in this past season, but I'm not going to get into that. Okay, I think that's a shoe-in. No questions asked. Devin Hester, the best returner in all football. That's 10. Now here are the people that I think are up for discussion.
Okay.
Vince Wilfork, arguably the best nose guard in all of pro football. That would be 11. Then you would get into your Greg Olsons, which would be 12, which is in discussion of conversation. Reggie Wayne, historically great wide receiver. That would be what, 13?
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Those are the ones I would push to the forefront. I don't really know too many other ones off the top of my head that would be, because our greats are all in. Maybe we get, because they do throw in tragic loss awards, things of that nature. So you may be able to get a Sean T or Sean Taylor, someone like that. Andre Johnson, I'm sorry, y'all. Thank you.
Oh,
My bad.
yeah.
Andre Johnson.
There you go.
That's another guarantee. I think Frank Gore is in there too. So what's that, 15? That's not counting Sean Taylor. That would be 15. Now, I don't know about Jimmy Graham. Calais Campbell may get Hall of Fame votes. I don't know if he will ever get in. His stats don't really match up too much with a lot of other, especially if you talk about, now if Calais is a true D tackle, maybe. But Calais as a DN edge, I don't know. But I agree with y'all. We have 9 right now. You would say Hester, Wilfork, Gore, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. That's 15 right now.
Here's a list of players according to this site. This is a long list. Top modern era candidates for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Because this could possibly add, obviously, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, USC, or Joe Thomas. He went to Wisconsin. Julius Peppers, North Carolina. Luke Kuechly went to BC.
Boston College.
Zach Thomas was Texas Tech. DeMarcus Ware was LSU. It's some DeMarcus. No,
DeMarcus Ware is Troy.
Yeah. Patrick Willis, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Marshall Yanda. I don't know where he went.
Marshall Yanda, Iowa. Left tackle at Iowa. Played right guard for my Baltimore Ravens.
Steve Wisniewski went to Penn State, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's Penn State.
Jari Evans. I don't know where he went. Earl Thomas went to Texas. Kevin Williams. If there's
they have Kevin Williams going to the Hall of Fame?
Okay. Well, the following players are contenders for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but have not been selected yet. Antonio Gates, Drew Brees, Logan Mankins, Darrell Revis, Marcus Pouncey,
Florida,
and Dwight.
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Darrell Revis?
No, Pouncey.
The Steelers center or his brother? I get them mixed up.
Either one of them. Hall of Fame? Oh, that's
You don't think the Steelers center's a Hall of Famer? No?
Mm-mm. I watched Haludi Nada destroy this guy.
Well, I've seen all sorts of guys get destroyed that have been in the I don't know. I think he's in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame?
Rondé
and
Barber.
I think there's only 2 centers in the Hall of Fame anyway. Jeff Saturday isn't even in the Hall of Fame.
Did Larry Fitzgerald get into the Hall of Fame yet?
I think he just retired, Mark.
I don't know how old this list is. So Larry Fitzgerald, he'll add one to Pitt. Rondé Barber, Eric Berry, Tennessee. Sean Alexander,
North Carolina. Alabama. They haven't even put Jeff Saturday in, and he's the greatest. The greatest.
Jason Witten.
Center of all time.
Joey Porter, Neil Smith, Marshawn Lynch, Cal. Mike Allstott, he's not going to the Hall of Fame. Corey Holt. You don't think Corey Holt's going to go into the Hall of Fame?
No.
He's a 3-time finalist in the voting.
I almost was 6'5", too.
Andre Johnson's only a 1-time finalist.
Well, they retired at
He
different
retired a lot
times.
later.
Yeah, they retired at different times.
Heinz Ward, Wes Welker, Pat Swilling. I think he just got in. There's Gore, Eli Manning, Darren Woodson.
Eli Manning? Oh,
you don't think he's going to go to the Hall of Fame?
I think he will. I don't think he should. I think he will. I know he will.
I think it's a good debate.
Yeah, I know he will.
I'm not that convinced one way or the other. I'm okay with him going to the Hall of Fame. He led 2 of the greatest postseason marches ever.
Absolutely. Can't argue that.
But the rest of it, the rest of his career, he was just a stats compiler.
Heinz Ward? Maybe in the see, this is where I think we start to drift to like the Hall of Good instead of the Hall of Fame. You know, Heinz Ward was pretty dang good. Pretty dang good.
Nick Mangold, there's a Buckeye. There's Jeff
He's
Saturday.
A pretty good center prospect.
There's Vince Wilfork, Priest Holmes, Steve Smith.
Especially because I look at it like, are you arguably can we tell the story of your position? Not the NFL, but your position without you. That's the way I look at it. You know, you can't talk about linebacker, period, without Ray Lewis, without Urlacher. Okay, without you can't talk about edge rush or the importance of a blindside backer without Lawrence Taylor. You know, these things are important. They shape the foundation of what the NFL is. And I think you could talk about it. You could talk about the NFL in center and not bring up the Pouncey Twins. Heck, I think you could talk about quarterback and not bring up Eli Manning or Roethlisberger.
It'd be tough, Eli Manning. He led the 2 most prolific touchdown drives in the history of the Super Bowl. He is the only quarterback to lead touchdown game-winning drives in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, you know, there's a guy that I'm not an Eli Manning fan because I don't think he's that great. But see, that's an argument I would make, that he's less of a Hall of Famer under other people's what you would consider, you know, just the hall, like you said, the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Greatness. But as soon as you put the term, can you tell the story of the position? You can tell the story of the position without a lot of people, but he did some things that nobody else has done.
Okay. I get you.
In the clutch.
You're right. I mean, that's a valid point. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. You know, like I said, can you bring up what would you say nose tackles? Can you talk about the zero technique without bringing up Vince Wilfork?
Well,
the only other one in the Hall of Fame is Refrigerator Perry. That's the only other one.
Was he truly a nose tackle? Did
Who?
they play a 4-3? The Bears?
Who?
Refrigerator Perry?
He played all over. But he's the only one that's considered the other nose guard in the NFL Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Miami is a better 4-3 team than they are a 3-4 team. Marcus Enriquez. Someone said if Kurt Warner got into the Hall of Fame, then I have no problem with Manning. True.
Yeah, I think Kurt Warner's a better quarterback than Eli Manning.
I'm not gonna fight you on that one.
Kurt
Wait,
Warner.
Refrigerator Perry isn't even in the Hall of Fame?
See, that's what I was looking up because I didn't think he was in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay. Well, then, there
Yeah,
it is.
I don't think he is in the Hall of Fame.
I guess that's the only thing he's known for is scoring those touchdowns and in the shellacking of the Patriots, huh?
Yes. He played 10 seasons. Yeah. Kurt Warner had a pretty short career because he obviously didn't make it until he was a little bit older. But he came out of nowhere and led one of the greatest offenses ever, and they won the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years later, look at it this way. He walked off the field in a tie game, and Brady and Vinatieri then, kicked the game-winning field goal, and he doesn't have a chance to. There's zeros on the clock. He doesn't. It's out of his hands. Mm-hmm. And I also view that the same way in the Steelers-Cardinals Super Bowl. He throws the game-leading touchdown pass with Fitzgerald. He throws they take the lead with whatever, maybe 90 seconds left. He throws the game-leading touchdown to Larry Fitzgerald, and then he again never steps. He throws a Hail Mary, but he doesn't get a legitimate shot. So he loses 2 Super Bowls in which he didn't have a chance to lead a game-winning drive.
And I don't agree with that second one. Santonio Holmes' toe did not get down.
No?
Not in my opinion. I mean, I'm not trying to crap on your Buckeyes, but I didn't see him get that second toe down.
Okay. That was a great throw.
It was. And I thought it was just out of reach, but I know he got one toe down. Great job by him, but I just didn't see that second one ever touch the floor.
Well, if he got them both down, it was obviously a great catch, but even more so, I think just from the angle that had to be thrown, it was a crazy angle to the back corner.
It was amazing ball placement too. Because it had to be up and over that corner that was right there, like right over his fingertips. The ball just, and as a Ravens fan, we were supposed to be in that championship. They got us. They got us.
All right, man. You ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, we went on the NFL. There. I had to ask that question, man, because so many people bring up the NFL and the factory, and I had to ask about the coaching too, because I look at it from your landscape as you've covered a lot of teams. We all know your allegiance is scarlet and gray, but you've helped cover a dozen to at least a dozen and a half teams consistently for like last 4 or 5 years. So it's you've seen good coaches come and go. You've seen good coaches take big time jobs, and that was really important for me to hear that, because I know Coach Cristobal has done the first half. He's done the really good staff. He's done a really good recruiting. He's done the seriousness and the focus of the program. Now the only thing that's left is to go out there and win games, and I feel like that's the second half of it. And he wouldn't have as much momentum if he didn't get the first half of things done as well as he already has up to this point. Yeah.
All right, Falconer X. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for that. All right, everybody, get back here next Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Hold for one. You have a great weekend.
You too.